Core Essentials has been my go-to everyday carry belt for more than 6 years now. I've done a couple of videos on them. I'll post them periodically up here. Actually, one of my very first videos back when I started this channel, more than 6 years ago, was on Core Essentials. And ever since then, and in fact even prior to that, it's been my go-to. I've done a couple since then, but today I want to talk about what Core Essentials has, the latest stuff that I've had from them. Most of the belts that I've got from Core Essentials I bought on my own dime. Full disclosure, they did recently send me a couple of belts and a couple of buckles to try out, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But first of all, why I really like Core Essentials belts. And you can see, I'll just roll in some footage here. I have a bunch, but again, most of those I paid for. A few of those they have sent me. I wouldn't be wearing them, I wouldn't be talking about them if they weren't my absolute favorite go-to. So leather belts, yes, I do have a few, and I do wear those more for dress occasions. I'm retired now, so maybe these get a little less use than they used to, but they're still gun belts. You can tell by the screw hole, the set screws, in addition to the clamping device on the back. And by the way, they do have these nice belt hangers here, and coincidentally, you can even put a couple of the keepers. You can actually hold 3 of them because it holds 3 belts. Good place to keep your belts and your keepers together. So these leather belts they say they're rated for holding 4 pounds of gear. And by way of comparison, what you're seeing right now is the holster with my Smith & Wesson CSX, 12 rounds of ammunition in it. Outside the waistband holster, a pouch to hold another magazine with another 12 rounds in it, and my Phoenix PD-35 flashlight in a holder. All this comes to about 2 pounds 11 ounces, so under 3 pounds. Definitely something that the leather belts would hold, although I'm normally wearing the nylon. Next up in their line is the buffalo leather. These will supposedly hold up to 6 pounds of gear. And finally, their tactical or nylon belt material will hold theoretically up to 10 pounds of gear, whether it's the 1 3/4 inch or the tactical Garrison type belts. These are the originals are 1 1/2. These are 1 3/4, and they say on the website the leather or the nylon Garrison belts, the 1 3/4 inch, will hold 10 pounds also. And again, they've got the same set screws on the back. So working around the yard, working around the range, just doing everything. I've got a Core Essentials belt on for everything. And if you go back to one of my previous videos, you'll see that I have used it and abused it, even took the thing apart after it was showing signs of wear, although that belt protector that I'll talk about here momentarily does help mitigate the wear with some holsters. The nice thing about Core Essentials too is very discreetly, just 1/4 inch increments. So there I can tighten up 1/4 of an inch, I can discreetly loosen 1/4 of an inch, tighten 1/2 inch. You can hear the ratchet clicking if you're careful or if you pay attention to it, but very discreetly, instead of taking a leather belt and having to pull it out and adjust it 1 inch at a time. I really like that adjustability on the Core Essentials belts. One of the things that sets Core Essentials gun belts apart from others is the fact that the latch mechanism is spring-loaded. It's not just magnetic. And the fact that it's spring-loaded makes sure that the tension stays constant and solid. So you can definitely hear as you ratchet this in that is it's a good solid hold, but yet still will release quickly and easily if you need to. But again, the spring to me is a whole lot more positive than just a magnetic catch. Your Core Essentials belts are pretty much one size fits, well, almost everybody. They will go all the way up to, what is this one here, 55 inches in waist size. So obviously you need to trim it down. It comes with of course, sizing instructions. It's got them for the tactical leather, the multi-cam, the gun belts basically, as well as the classic belts. But anyway, you want to make sure you don't get the classic belts if you're going to be carrying a gun. For everyday carry, you need something that's going to hold the weight. So I've already cut a couple down here. I'm going to cut one more down by their instructions. Now it says measure your waist size and then cut the belt about 4 inches larger if you're carrying outside the waistband, 6 inches larger if you're carrying inside the waistband. That's what their instructions say. I've only gone usually a couple inches, and even with inside the waistband, I'm okay with that. I don't want lots of flap hanging over. It all depends on how much you want hanging over. All right, so we'll get the camouflage one, or multicam out of the way here, get a couple of the buckets out of the way, or buckles out of the way, and let's go ahead and trim this one down. Obviously, you're not cutting the ratchet end. There are size measurements every inch inside, and you can see that they go from 28-inch waist all the way up to a 54-inch waist. I'm somewhere yeah, I won't say even in between, but closer to the larger end of that, unfortunately. Also, be careful what you use in the way of cutting material. I'm going to talk about what's inside of these here in just a minute, but I actually broke a medium-duty pair of scissors trying to cut one of these one time, so I got something a little heavier. Now, I'm going to cut these off. This particular belt off. This is, again, that's their tactical type of belt. Trying to be careful as I go through this and cut it straight, and that wasn't quite perfectly straight. Let me trim that off just a little bit more. There we go. And then putting on this particular buckle came with it. There's some options with it. We'll talk about more of those in just a minute. But you want to make sure that you back this down, back the screws out. And that's what sets the gun belt apart from the regular belt, is these set screws, which really help hold it. When I first started getting into the ratchet belts, I got a couple of what they call the fashion belts, and they just really wouldn't hold the weight of a gun. The buckle ended up flexing and pulling out. So it does come with an Allen wrench, comes with the extra screws for it. So you want to back these out so you can get the belt in under it, and then ratchet the thing down, or not ratchet, but tie the, still got to go a little bit more. You're going to clamp the tooth part of the buckle down so it holds it, and still got to go just a hair more on those. I want to take them all the way out. Alright, so the belt is all the way into the end of the buckle. Then we put the clamp part with the teeth. You can see those teeth are what will dig into the belt to hold it. But again, if you rely on just the teeth with the fashion belts, eventually this thing is going to loosen up on you. So clamp it down snug, and now it says to run the screws in until they're flush. You don't want to over tighten them, but you want to run them in so they're flush with the back of the buckle, so they're not digging into you, and it stops right where you need it to be. Those screws will dig into the belt and hold it so that you don't have just the teeth of the buckle relying on how well that holds. So that is in. Now, cool thing about this particular buckle, it sort of looks, I guess, sort of tactical, but it also came with a cover you can snap on. There's only one way it'll go on, and just snap that on to just give it a little bit more decoration, if you will. And of course, there are optional buckles. We're going to put one together with the American flag buckle in just a minute. And you saw my multicam with a United States Navy buckle. So this is the Buffalo leather belt. Now, you can see this one only goes up to 44 inches as opposed to 54 on the other one. So it's not quite as long to start with, but it is nice leather. It still has the liner on the inside. I'm going to talk more about that here in just a minute. You can just see where the screws are pointing through here. You want to back those out so that there's zero protrusion. But it's that point that digs into the belt that really makes the Core Essentials belt, gun belt, solid, so that it will support the weight of a holster, magazine, first aid kit, whatever else you want to put on it. Alright, so American flag is going to go on the Buffalo leather belt. Again, belt all the way to the end, push down on the clamping part with the teeth until it's all the way in, and put those screws back in. And there it is, the American flag buckle on the Buffalo belt. Now I want to show you a little bit about the evolution of these belts. So the latest generation is the camouflage black one I just cut here, and again, these are all going to be their nylon tactical type belts. The last generation I got is going to be right here, and the first generation is right here. So we've got 3 different generations of belts. I've been wearing, I think I already mentioned this, I've been wearing Core Essentials belts for probably, I don't know, 6 years now at least. And I still got a couple of my originals. They are my literally go-to everyday belt. And I mean, I've been wearing these probably 300 out of 365 days. But I want to show you the difference. And the difference is really going to come in the liner. So the original is going to be here. There's a stiffener inside. We're going to get back to that stiffener in just a minute. So there's first generation. Second generation, it's thicker. And third generation, I haven't cut this apart, but it's even thicker yet. So let's open this one up real quick and you can measure that stiffener. All right, so there's that plastic stiffener that's glued and sewn into the belt. So first generation stiffener, 0.0385. This is in inches, not metrics, of course. Second generation was a 0.056, 0.05. I get it right in the right spot, 0.058. There we go. Third generation is about the same thing, still about 0.05. And that makes well, you can see them all from the end here. So here's first generation. The backing and the stiffener is thinner. Here's second generation, and now here's the third generation. The belts themselves are getting thicker as we go. First generation, the entire belt itself, even measured at the stiffener, was 0.177. Second generation was 0.201, and third generation here is the same thing as a 0.202-201. So the stiffener made a huge difference. Again, that was from the first generation. This first generation belt I actually wore for about 5 years before finally replacing it. So there is a difference as the generations went on. This doesn't have, the original one's got a lot of flex. These will still flex, but they'll also hold the weight. So one other thing that they make available is the sleeve that will go over, let's use the current generation, sleeve that will go over the belt itself. This is for the 1.5 inch belt. And this, if you've got a holster that has a tendency to wear on the belt, a couple of my Kydex holsters do. So I ordered the loops just a little bit larger, and this protective sleeve slips over the belt so that the wings on the holster won't dig in. You can use this for holding other equipment on there. My earmuff protector goes over this quite nicely, so it doesn't wear the belt as fast. And of course, they also come with, the old generation came with Velcro type fasteners, which I kind of like. The newer ones, so it comes with a sewn elastic one. I lost the one from my gray belt. I had to take the belt off at TSA, and the keeper for the end of the belt came off of it, and never noticed it until I got on the plane. It was a little too late. But these do slip over, come on, over the end, which then allows you to tuck the end of the belt then up under it as your keeper, and it's elastic, so it'll hold it in place. Just really, really good quality, and that's why in my book, Core Essentials belts are still #1. There is just no comparison. So that's my experience with Core Essentials, and you can see how they have evolved from their early generation just a few years ago to their current ones that will definitely hold everything you need to hold. They're going to last as long as I need a belt to last. Absolutely my still go-to #1 belt.